Cacao, which is Theobroma cacao. Theos in Latin means God and Broma means food, so all together is God food. The reason why is because in the ancient ages, the natives from America used to drink this kind of sacred beverage that was supposed by sent by the gods. For that, they need to extract the seeds out of these cacao pods that you can see here, and then they put it in a kind of bowl, okay? Then they grind them, like using some rocks, and after they start adding water and some spicy things, for example, vanilla or chili, to create this strong beverage in flavor, but at the same time quite bitter. Okay? At the same time, it was supposed that one of these drinks was only able to drink by the chief of the tribe in funerals as a sign of respect, in weddings as a sign of celebrations, and in war, before the war as an energizer, and after that as a reward. Okay? It was supposed that one of these drinks was as expensive as a gold bar at that time. Okay?
Is it still very common to do cacao ceremonies?
Well, not in Costa Rica, but Mexico, Brazil, like in these specific primitive homes. Okay. Now over here, we have two types of flowers. In the case of the open flowers, they last 48 hours on the tree. If they are not pointed up at that time, they fall down into the ground and die. In the case of the closed flowers, these ones are fruits already in development. As you can see here, the different stages of the development.
Wow.
Okay?
So this becomes that?
Exactly.
Wow.
From this flower until this cacao pot over there, we have 6 months. That means that we have at the same time 2 harvests per year.
And the birds don't eat them?
Most of the time, the woodpecker. Okay. Well, over there we have trees of cacao, but these are not of cacao trees. But the thing is that these are not natural cacao trees. Okay, this is what we call clones. And we call it that way because what we are doing here is extracting the DNA from a stem of a natural tree, okay, an old one, and then we will graft it deep inside of every single of the newborns, creating new trees, but with the DNA and thinking on an old tree already, okay? Now, even though these trees are natural or clones, they will take 5 years to be old, okay? The only difference is that when they are ill or they are like kind of not productive anymore, we can regraft them. So instead of 5 years, it will take only 1 year. 20 of these cacao pods, since 20 of them per year are equal to 1 kilo of seeds already fermented and already dried. Okay? And this is talking about our garden. Okay? This for us is just for demonstrational purposes. These trees over here can produce between 20 until 50 of these cacao pods already. In our main plantation that is located in Opala in the north of the country, forward from here to Nicaragua, we have 62 hectares, 1,100 trees per hectare. At the same time we are developing there something different, and that is called super trees. And these super trees are able to produce more than 150 of these cacao pods already, okay, per tree. Now year by year what we are doing is increasing our production rate of chocolate. Now, the thing is how we know if a fruit is or not ready to be harvested. In our case that we are not experts, what we are doing is scratching the shell of the fruit. If the color of the flesh of the shell, as we call it, is this light or bright yellow color here, that means that the fruit is ready to be harvested, okay? Sometimes it's ripe or sometimes it's overripe here, okay? In our case, what we are doing is taking the fruit for you. What happens when we scratch the fruit is this. Many people say that the best way to cut these fruits is when you start twisting the fruits and just taking them out, like a cut, okay? But this is not a cut. The thing is that this is quite important for the tree. This is what we call a fruit pillar. And once we cut one of these fruits, another fruit will take position in the same spot over here. So, for the reason we need to use pruning shears or a knife. So we got to cut near the fruit, never near the tree. Okay, you want to try?
Okay.
Just medium strong.
Just medium strong.
A little bit more. Okay. A little bit more.
Oh, there we go. There's a crack.
Yeah, almost there.
Oh yeah, it's going around.
There you go.
Oh.
And just separate them.
Wow.
Now, these are the seeds of the cacao.
Oh, they're slimy.
Now, to eat this fruit, we have different methods. We can like take one of the seeds, we can put it in our mouth, we start like sucking out the mucilage and then just throwing away the seeds. The thing is that we have another way to eat the seeds. The second way to eat these seeds is when you start like biting the seeds, okay? So at the same time, you're not only sucking out the mucilage, but at the same time, you're beating like the seed. The thing is that once you bite one of these seeds, you will feel something terrible in your palate, okay? Like taste something terrible there. That is acetic acid.
Not food. Okay. I'm gonna try one last. You're gonna eat it? You put the whole thing in there? Yeah, you're supposed to. Oh yeah? Okay.
It's good, right? It's not bitter at all.
That's not bitter.
These lips are not just colorful because let's say kind of like beauty, but this is a soft mechanism system that all the cacao trees are using to protect them from some natural predators. Why? Because even though these are new leaves, these red pretty color over here for some predators means poison. Okay? So once they are near this area, they will say, I don't want to be near this tree because it's kind of dangerous for me. Okay? However, it's just like a, let's say, mirage for us. You can observe that, but it's not there, okay? And of course, it's not poison at all. Instead of that, we have these little frogs that they are kind of cute that we have here in the whole Costa Rica. The thing is that we want to show you here that what we are creating here is not just the delicious chocolate that you are eating after the lunch or after the dinner, but at the same time, we want to create something healthy for you. And that is natural medicine based on chocolate. Why? Because lemongrass is part of our 25 different varieties of chocolates already. And in the case of turmeric, will be used as an ingredient in the last part of the tour to make your own chocolate bar masterpiece. Okay? In the case of turmeric, it's used at the same time as a prevention of the Alzheimer. So as you can see, we have plenty of different benefits there that we can start like taking advantage of.
Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah.
It's like ginger, kind of ginger.
Yeah.
It's similar.
It's very good for the joints.
Yeah.
Yeah, anti-inflammatory.
We have a lot of benefits. Actually, turmeric by this like pandemic situation, okay, it's like let's say like a gold bar of that, okay? Because remember that the anti-inflammatory properties that they have inside, they are kind of like fantastic. Even if you smell that, it's kind of strong.
Yeah. We eat a lot of turmeric.
Of turmeric? Oh, you're used to it.
And ginger.
There is a super variety, okay? This is cat tier 1. The thing is that in 1970s, Costa Rica suffered from one dangerous illness. This illness is a fungus, and this fungus is called Monilium. And it's a fungus that sticks not only in your shoes, in your clothes, in your hair, and in your skin, but also in the shell of the fruit. And once it's over here, we start penetrating everything until reach the mucilage and the seeds, contaminating everything there and making dangerous from being consumed that fruit. Not enough with that, we start penetrating even the tree until kill the tree. Okay, it's a terminal illness. Once one of our fruits or one of our trees is already contaminated with this dangerous threat, the only thing that we can make for them is to eliminate them as faster as possible to avoid a huge contamination in the whole area. Okay? By that time, the cacao farmers, they decided to start like cutting all of the fruit that they consider were contaminated, and after that, they start marking that space. Then they need to wait for 2 other fruits to go here. Okay? Once they grow here, the cacao farmer will start cutting all of them as well. That is equal to 18 months of production. Okay? It is only one fruit, no problem at all. But when we have hundreds, thousands of hectares contaminated with this dangerous threat, it's a complete nightmare for them. Okay? So instead of fighting against the nature, the cacao farmers of that time, they decided to give up. Instead of that, they start working in something else. For example, pineapple, banana, coffee, but no more cacao. Now by this time, we have Cathy R1. CATI is a non-profit organization, a university that we have here in Costa Rica, okay? And it's in charge of increase the benefits of the production rate of the cacao. And they discovered some specific resistances for this product over here. And that is CATI R1 for us. CATI R1, let's say, is almost invulnerable to malaria, or at least is resistant to that. So now we can protect the other varieties that are compatible to the CATI R1, okay, against that specific threat. However, this is not a vaccine, okay? Once one of our fruits is already contaminated, okay, we can protect them anymore. It's just for prevention, no more than that, okay? At the same time, they not only designed CATI R1, but also R2, R3, until R6. All of them with different capacities and benefits into the production rate of the cacao, and some specific resistance to some other threats, and not only the malaria. Now we have 6 super varieties that are used worldwide to create most of our let's say, famous chocolates around the world. This is one of our 3 most important processes to make our high quality chocolates. The first of them is the fermentation process, okay? Now what we are doing here, okay, this of course is just a more representation. A real one is like 10 times this structure here. And what we are doing here is adding 1,100 kilos of seeds of cacao, okay, with the music, not the shell. As I told you previously, it's just to make fertilizer or compost, no more than that. Then we start adding this duty cloth above of the seeds. So we start covering them, okay, with this, and we start like warming the seeds, and at the same time we start protecting them from the environment conditions. Finally, we'll start adding the third reason why we keep some of our banana plants in the main plantation, and that is the leaf of the banana. Since the leaf of the banana is able to produce gist, and gist is important for us to produce here ethanol, okay? Once we know that everything is settled there, what we are doing is closing the whole structure. And here an expert will take charge of the whole process. Now what we are doing here is gathering all of the 1,100 kilos of seeds, like this part over here, okay? Then we start working in a slow solar drying process for 8 days long, okay? The thing is that once we gather all of the seeds here, we start separating them or spreading them into this whole structure here. Here you can notice something quite important, okay? We don't have metal in this structure. Why? Because what we are extracting here is acetic acid. Acetic acid is vinegar, and vinegar is corrosive to metal. So instead of metal, what we are using here is this like plastic net protection over here, and the wood that we are using here in our fermentation process and even in our tools is wood without any smell. Why? Because the seeds that are here are absorbing all of the smells and flavors in the air, and we don't want these disgusting awful flavors of the wood to get inside of our chocolate. So instead of that, what we are doing is using, for example, here laurel. That is a kind of wood that we have here in Costa Rica, okay? Now, once we have everything settled here, what we are doing is spreading the seeds every 2 hours, okay? By the first 2 days, even at night shift. If you stop moving just for 2 hours the seeds, let's see if I can find one for you.
A lot of work goes into our chocolate bars.
Yeah. Okay, this is our final result. This seed that I have in my hand is a seed that is already contaminated with fungus, okay, or moisture level. And inside of them, they are creating or developing a kind of fungus, and this fungus can be dangerous for being consumed for you. Increase down to grow cacao in efficient conditions worldwide, okay? The second condition is that you need to grow cacao in efficient conditions between 0 until 400 meters over the sea. Okay, you can grow cacao even between 0 until 1,600 meters over the sea. Let's say the height of the Arena volcano. Okay, just here we are at 253 meters over the sea, and in our main plantation we are below 200. So let's say that we are almost in the middle of that. Okay, here is where the magic takes place. Now, what we are doing from here is extracting 25 kilos of seeds out of that cacao sacks that you can see inside of that building up on the left. And then we'll start moving that 25 kilos of seeds into these trays that you can see below the conventional oven. Okay? Then we take 4 of these trays, we'll put it in that conventional oven, that is for a machine over there. And then we'll start roasting the seeds from 125, 26 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes, no more than that. Then we'll start like cooling the trays, and we'll start moving all of that into that filter mechanism that is there. Okay, that filter mechanism, we start moving all of the seeds into that cylinder mechanism. Okay, this is what we call a winnowing machine. Now, what I'm telling you here is not something I read in a guide or someone told me. In my case, I used to be a kind of like say chocolate factory operator. So what I'm telling you here is what we are doing here every single day from Monday until Friday. Okay. Once the seeds are in that cylinder, that winnowing machine is in charge to separate the seeds into 4 different parts. The first of them is the fine shell. In the second one, the one that is in the middle, we will have the cacao nibs, the ones that you already tried. In the third one, we will have the reprocessed seeds that we will take again into the filter and to separate them. And in this last one, okay, what we are containing there is the top shell. What we are taking from here is just the cacao nibs. And we start moving all of that into this second stage, the grinding stage. From here, we have 2 different machines working on. The one that is over there is the grinder, and the one that is just in front of us, this one here, below, is the homogenizer, or the windmill, as we call it popular. Now, what we are doing in the first one, okay, is putting all of the cacao nibs. Once that filter receives all of the cacao nibs, that filter will start moving all of the nibs into that round mechanism called GGM. Inside of that mechanism, we have some little teeth. These teeth are grinding all of the chocolate, let's say all of the nibs, into a chocolate mass that is contained and is spinning right now there. Okay. Now the thing is that what we are creating there, it's something kind of, let's say, our primal material to make our chocolates. But before that, you can observe that we are working in temperatures between 53.8 and most of the time until 70 degrees Celsius. Okay, depending on the condition and the temperature of that area. At the same time, that windmill is spinning the whole day, and it's working in 3 different aspects already. The first of them is the homogenizing process. The technically speaking is when you are combining all of the particles and molecules of chocolate that were separated previously, okay, and we are trying to gather all together again, okay, in just one, let's say, object. At the same time, we are increasing the quality, the flavor, and we are trying to eliminate as much as possible from the bitterness of the chocolate that we know is still inside of that, okay, or we guess is inside of that. Once we know that everything is done there, we start extracting all of the chocolates from that pipe on the left, and we start moving all of that into some plastic baskets into these machines over here. This is the third station, the refining station. From here we have different machines working on. The one that is over there, okay, is in charge of, well, let's say it takes 3 hours to refine. The one that is over here takes 3 days, maximum 1 week. And the last one takes between 12 hours until 24 hours maximum. That is the difference between an Italian, a Costa Rican, and a Peruvian machine. Now all of them have different functions. In the case of the Italian one, it's in charge, in all of the dark formulations. That means 100% cacao, passing through 91, 85, 75% until 51% cacao, okay? In this one, even though we know it's the slowest one, it's working in something more important for us, and that is orange flavored chocolate, our twice international winner from the ICA, the International Chocolate Awards, and our most difficult chocolate to refine, since it would take 1 week to be ready, okay? The reason why is because what we are adding there is not just the, let's say, the cacao liquid. That is that sticky, slimy, well, let's say, kind of liquid mass of chocolate that we are creating there. But at the same time, we are adding the zest of the orange, okay? That zest we will put inside of that machine, and then what we are doing is infusing the zest into our chocolate. Why? Because we don't want you to notice or taste these little disgusting parts of the zest of the orange. But instead of that, we want you to taste just the flavor of the orange inside of that. For that reason, we need to keep the machine working for 1 week long. Once we know that everything's on that, we can work in other formulations, okay? The thing is that we are working something more important for us, or let's say expensive. That is white chocolate. Even though many people say that white chocolate is not, well, it's not even chocolate, okay? In our case, that is not true. Why? Because what we are using there to make our white chocolate is cacao butter. Cacao butter is the natural fat that we are extracting out of the cacao beans, okay, straight. For that, we need to come back again into the grinding process. And once we are in the grinding process, before we create the cacao liquor, okay, that liquid mass that we were creating previously, what we are taking is a solidified mass that we call the cake. What we are doing is taking that cake of cacao, we will put it in another machine that is called the press, and then that press is mashing everything out of that, and we start eliminating some reminiscences, let's say, of the fat of the seeds, okay? That is cacao butter, okay? Well, and now you will have the possibility to start working into the tempering and molding process. For that, what we are doing is working this way. Just back and forward. Okay? Up to regulate temperature from 16 to 27 or 28 degrees Celsius. Imagine. Round. Even though you observe from these chocolatier shows and these reality shows that they are doing these fancy, extravagant movements, okay? What they are doing there is just show. What we are doing here in real fact is regulating the temperature of the chocolate. Perfect. 25 because the AC there is working on. So here we need to play with the temperature, okay? 26.9, 27, let's say. So we are perfect. Now what we are doing is that one of you will take these, properly, and another one will start like scooping out everything again into the bowl.
Take this or no?
If you want.
It feels like I'm wasting so much. Into the bowl?
Yeah. Now many people say that if work with chocolate is something clean. Well, I think you answered your question already, right? It's not clean, it's really messy. My belief is the fact that you have more chocolate in the unicorns than in the running table that is here right now. almost are 75% in percentage of chocolate, and they have inside a ganache, kind of liquid, no small liquid, don't worry about it, of guava, pineapple, and mint. And finally, we have the nips, the natural ones, the ones that you already tried, and the caramelized version. This for us is our premium product, okay? And
wow, even you matched the cup. Wow, thanks, Abuela.
now what I'm doing here is just wrapping them here, okay? This way. Now, most of the ingredients, they are now like sticking to the chocolate bar. They will like fall apart, okay? Don't worry. Now, you can observe here the shiny part in the chocolate bar, and the fact that when you bite them, you will feel that crunchy that I told you previously. That is because the molding chocolate process that you make here were perfect, okay? So amazing job. You see, you had the turmeric, the raisins, the craisins, the almonds, the coconut, and the chili.
That's mine.
Alright, so this is your Vicky, right? You're very welcome, it's a pleasure. Let's see, second one. Yeah. So we have turmeric, brown sugar, almonds, coconut, and chili. Okay, and this is yours, Nick, right?
Yep.
Now last but never least. Chili, turmeric, almonds, and salt.
Delicious.
Good. Alright?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I hope you will enjoy this activity as much as you enjoyed to make it.
Yes.